What's up, hobby friends? My name is Casey, and welcome to another Miniature Rescue. This week, I just couldn't help myself, and we need to take a look at some orcs that I just got in the mail. I've been going hard on orcs for several years now, and most of that hobby has taken place exclusively in October of each year. It's been a great tradition, and one that I always look forward to each year. From the smallest orc Gretchen to the biggest Stampa, we have covered quite a lot of models in the range. The only thing I really haven't gotten to have been what I most certainly feel are some of the finest minis that Citadel has ever produced. The original Rogue Trader Space Orks are just different. The way the organic and inorganic shapes mix feels very unique for the time, and while the models look pretty brutal, they also look kind of ridiculous. The other standout thing about these models was the way they were generally painted. Color was always a matter of personal taste. They could be painted up in almost any combination and still look really good. Here are a few that I got from the Adepticon bit seller a couple of years ago. Even now, I don't really want to strip these down to repaint them because they still look really awesome. Simple choices of bright colors, and these sculpts just work so well. A couple of months ago, I mentioned that Kev Adams, who designed a ton of these original orcs, had other models for sale, and surprise, surprise, he has continued to make epic orcs for everyone to enjoy. Of course, I have purchased quite a few of them, and they will eventually make their way into my orc army. Today though, we're going to take a look at something really cool that a subscriber named Doug sent to me in the mail not too long ago. But before that, let me tell you about today's excellent sponsor. Have you been working on that army project for like 47 hours straight, waiting for 3D prints to finish, or maybe just wishing that paint stripper would work a little faster? Well, maybe it's time to just take a break. Those minis will still be there, I promise. And check out this week's sponsor, Star Trek Fleet Command. Star Trek Fleet Command is a 4-time award-winning MMO set in the ever-expanding Star Trek universe. Recruit legendary characters to crew iconic ships from over 50 years of Star Trek stories and send them on missions of exploration to expand your territory. Engage with players around the world in battles testing your strategic ability, negotiate alliances for greater gain, and harvest the galaxy's resources as you upgrade your fleet of starships. What I personally love about this game is how the music immediately brings you in right when you start the game, and familiar faces show up right away. You jump right into the action, and there's always something to do that keeps you engaged. Not every game is like that, and I appreciate it. As a starbase commander on the edge of civilized space, recruit iconic characters from the Next Generation, original series, and the J.J. Abrams films, Strange New Worlds, and more, including Kirk, Spock, Data, and Geordi. Starfleet is rolling out the red carpet for you with daily welcome gifts. It's the epic promotion for all new players. Get everyday rewards and epic Romulan Captain Nero, who increases the damage of weapons by 40% if your opponent's ship is burning at the end of each round. Don't forget to log in each day and snag those rewards before they vanish into deep space. Not to mention, if you use the promo code BOOST, you'll snag an upgraded beginner station content pack with 300 Latinum, 100,000 par steel, and 10,000 titanium, and more. Star Trek Fleet Command is available and free to play on desktop and mobile with a Scopely account. You can play at home and on the go seamlessly. Check out the QR code on the screen or head to the links in the description below to start your very own Star Trek journey today. Thanks again, Star Trek Fleet Command, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to painting some minis. Let's start with this guy. This is the 3rd edition 40k Ghazghkull Thraka. A fantastic sculpt of the big orc himself, and one that I didn't have previously. Doug was kind enough to send this over since it's been in a box pretty much since he bought it. What I was not expecting was for Doug to send over a letter and his part of a shared Rogue Trader army that he and his friends got when they were on deployment in the late 80s. The letter talks about how he and his friends got into the game as a way to pass the time overseas, and they split their money to buy models and paint and play. Unfortunately, one of their friends was in a bad accident and had to stop playing, and so the rest of them stopped as well. These models have been sitting in storage, unfinished ever since. My hope and goal for these models is to give them a new place on the table and live up to the memories made with them originally. I won't be repainting most of these, but there are some that need help, and that's where we're going to be looking today. It still amazes me how much these miniatures do for us and how much value we assign them when they are connected to strong memories. These have been preserved as if having been in a time capsule, and it's going to be great to see them back on the table again. The first thing I want to do is get some bases ready for all of these. I'll be printing out some base toppers on the 3D printer and at least getting them ready for these models and the ones I have already completed. While the bases are printing, I'm going to take a look at each one of these models and clean up the feet so that we can pin them and get them ready to go when the bases are done. I snip off the tabs and then use a hand drill on the feet to drill a small hole about the size of a paper clip. I'll glue that paper clip in and snip off the excess. That way, once we finish the bases, we can drill a corresponding hole and fit them right in. As far as paint goes, I want to keep it pretty simple and in the same theme as the orcs that I already have. So a ruined factory base with some metallics and rust and pigment powder should be great to showcase the brighter colors of each model. With a large dry brush, I start with a dark brown overbrush to cover everything as quickly as possible. Like I said, the miniatures are bright, so a dark base will let them stand out as much as possible and fit into my existing army with a similar type of metal and rust for the bases. Next up, I use the same dry brush and hit everything with an orange brown, just a little lighter. This will catch all the raised details and cover up a little bit of that darker brown, and you'll still see it under anything that's covering over the top of the whole thing. I use a smaller dry brush to go over any of the metallics sticking through the rubble. This will give each piece a bit of metallic shine and separate each piece on the base. I still don't want this to stand out too much, so I finally come in with some orange rust powder and cover just about everything. I leave the larger mid sections of the metallic parts to remain metal and blend the darker brown where that color meets. A dusting of pigment fixer over each base will lock that powder in. Anywhere that the fixer is more concentrated dilutes the powder and lets some of that undercoat show through a little more. So I hit random spots and the metallics mostly a little harder so it doesn't completely cover it up. All in all, a nice uniform base that's still pretty dark, just to let those colors pop. Now that the bases are done, I can line up each model on the base using the pin as a guide. Drill a hole through the resin and plastic and pin each model into place using a dab of super glue. These models are still pretty heavy, and having that pin run through the entire thing will ensure that they stay during transportation and gameplay. Even without painting any of these models, they already look great, but there are a few that need to be assembled and fixed up. Today, I am going to focus on getting some of the old glue taken care of on the joints of the models that were in pieces and get them at least put back together. There are a handful of models that I do want to strip, and only because I bought them secondhand with that in mind, and some of them that don't really have a lot of paint on them anyways. The big orc boss is one that I really want to work on and do something fun with, but that's gonna have to wait till Orktober proper. I don't want to get ahead of myself and rush these amazing minis. That being said, I do want to work on this awesome orc right here. There is some fantastic freehand across the model, and the color is really well done. I don't want to strip this mini, it's just too good. So instead, I am going to grab some era appropriate paints and do some touch-ups where there was some super glue overspill before, and in more than a few places where the paint has been chipped up from being moved around from country to country since it was painted in 1988. For the most part, I'm going to try and color match everything with the original colors, and in a lot of areas just continue to highlight and layer up the colors as intended. My goal is to brighten up each color and get some extra details in there to help this piece stand out. Yellow gets a brighter yellow on the highest points, edge highlights all around, and some orange brown in the shadows that give more shape and definition. Each color gets a pass, and slowly but surely the model starts to look like new. You don't always need to strip models if the paint was well done from the beginning, and this model was definitely great to start with. When I discovered these models, I knew that I wanted to go with orcs. There's just something special about the way that they were made, and even now I don't know how anyone looking at this can't love something about it. They're just special models, and in this case, came with a story that I can still tell and continue today. From 1988 to 2024, these are still doing the job that they were meant for, and when I'm done with them, someone else can enjoy them just as much. For the rest of the models, like I said, I will be saving them for Orktober. They can't be rushed, and I want to do them justice. But this was a great start to the whole project, and I can't wait to get them all back on the table and playing some games. Thank you again, Doug, for sending these incredible models in and letting us all enjoy them again. And thank you for joining me on another miniature rescue. If you like something about this video, please consider hitting that like button, sharing this video with your hobby friends, and subscribing for more miniature rescues. Once again, I'm Casey, and I will see you in the next video.